What's up, guys? We just saw.
Wait, hold on. I need to adjust my hair.
Oh my god, hair's looking good. I got short hair. I don't have long hair problems.
Yeah, well, I got one here.
Uh, what's up, guys? We just saw the Rise of Skywalker. It's actually the next morning. We wanted to wait and fully digest everything. We're joined once again by David.
Hey guys,
So
Brix Studios.
we're gonna be diving into the movie, what we think of it. We're gonna try and go scene by scene and how we recall it. Overall thoughts. I'll have you start. General thoughts about the movie.
I overall liked it. There was some things that kind of upset me, but so I wouldn't call it a perfect film at all. There was, and I think the general consensus is that there was definitely one or two things at the very least that some Star Wars fans didn't like. I didn't see anybody that was like, yeah, I just loved it. It was perfect.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that reaction. Pretty much everybody's on board with yeah, it was a good film with good parts. There was some upsetting things, but overall, if I had to give it a score right away, it'd be between a 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. I find it better than The Last Jedi, which I kind of rated originally I was like, oh, this is an 8 out of 10, but then I thought more about all the Luke stuff. That was more of a 6 out of 10 movie, so I feel this is a higher and better movie than The Last Jedi, but not by a considerable amount, at least in my opinion. I know some people think The Last Jedi is just trash, and that's totally fine, but I do think this is a better movie than the last movie we got.
Yeah, I will say, guys, let us know down below in the comments. This is probably going to be a longer video, so just kind of have it on as a podcast, but let us know down below what you're thinking of the movie. Also, if this wasn't clear, we will be talking about spoilers, so if you guys haven't seen the movie, please don't watch this unless you don't care about spoilers, then definitely watch it. Just come back later. For me, overall, I'm kind of the same way. I think wrapping up a series is really hard, especially Star Wars. It's one of the most strong cult following fandoms I think Star Wars has. Overall, I love watching the movie in the film. I definitely think it's the best sequel so far. More importantly, I know that there are a lot of problems, which we'll definitely dive into today for sure, but I've liked how the majority of characters and their story arcs ended. I think, for instance, Chewie finally getting his medal at the end was really symbolic. I love that. And I liked how I thought that was really cool.
That was pretty fan service, in my opinion.
We'll talk about that. But overall, I think the movie was good. I think it's hard to wrap up a series that everyone feels so strongly about. I'd probably around the same place give it maybe an 8.5 out of 10, just because I did really just enjoy the film watching it. So let's start from the beginning, go to the end. So the beginning of the movie opens up with it's Kylo Ren, right? And
I just really want to say, the beginning was unlike any other Star Wars movie, where it was just unbelievably fast paced. Where you just go boom, 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 and I'm like, whoa, let's slow down. I want to take in this.
Yeah.
But they went from planet to planet to planet. Oh, here's the Emperor. He's a zombie, basically.
Yeah, they dispelled that immediately.
Yeah,
it
wasn't right in the title.
It wasn't oh, is the Emperor gonna be back? It was just the dead is alive in the title, and then in the first 5 minutes you see Palpatine back in his zombie body or whatever you want to call it. So I, for one, liked how fast paced it was, because in The Last Jedi I liked the first quarter and then the last quarter, but the middle half of The Last Jedi I fell asleep. It was kind of boring.
Yeah, I feel
so I appreciate how it was, okay, we have a lot to get through. Boom, 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 goes from Kylo to Rey to Kylo on Exegol, and then back, and boom. It's just very fast paced. So I like that. I know you didn't like that, though.
I liked it in terms of okay, I never was sleepy, or there was never a dull moment, if you will. But it didn't feel like Star Wars in terms of the George Lucas films. The prequels and definitely the originals were always had a very considerable, I wouldn't say slow pace, but it took its time to get to point A to point B, with a lot of story being introduced between that. Whereas here, we are just jumping around, and the story just kind of gets told in very small bits, and then you're moving on to the next thing.
Yeah, it was just a lot. It's a lot to process in such a little time, which is why it's so important for us to see it again. Definitely, I'm probably gonna see it at least 2 more times.
I want to see it again just to digest everything again, because there was so much there.
But yeah, it's a lot. So the beginning of the movie opens up, Kylo Ren, he's on the planet, he gets that Sith, whatever it's called. It's not a holocron, but it's the map that leads to Exegol.
It's not a holocron.
And then he goes on
to artifact.
Artifact, that's what it was with the map. And then he finds Palpatine, what did you think of You wanted Palpatine to be back in a physical.
I was
embodiment,
excited to see Palpatine. Not like I thought it was. I like how they introduced him with the whole horror like flashes and stuff, and obviously you could tell that he was basically like a zombie, like he wasn't fully there, and that was fine. Although I just wish they would just stop with the flashes after a few minutes and just keep a constant light. This is a very very critical film thing, but it was annoying me that we couldn't just get a soft light on him or something and just let's just see him. They just constantly wanted to tease it, and I was like, okay. And then by the end of the movie, you did, so it wasn't a huge deal. But I wasn't a giant fan of how they were showing him in the beginning. Going back to the crawl, though, like, immediately the first line is, like, Palpatine has been heard around the galaxy. He's, like, putting out calls, like, join my final order.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, okay.
Yeah. Well,
this is going right into it.
I mean, if there was a way for him to be back in a physical embodiment, I think that's the only way it could have been. Because if he came back as a normal person, I'd be like, yo, what the hell? He was blown up, you know?
Yeah.
So I like the fact that he was, like, kind of pieced together. You saw, like, the CG on his hands and his face. It was very zombie-like he had been, like, mutilated. And I think that was a good way for him to be brought back. So I wanted him to be a Force ghost the entire time. I didn't like the idea of him being physically back, but he was. I was okay with it. It looked really, really sick, to be honest with you. It was cool. So I was happy that he was
a Force ghost. I kind of like that physical, especially towards the end. Where
I wouldn't have minded if he became a physical being at the end after what happened towards the end of the movie, but I wanted him to like start as a ghost. Maybe it just doesn't sit right with me that he was thrown down to the Death Star core, blown up, and then he's back. Which I mean, I get. I mean, he's a Sith, and that's also the next part I want to talk about. Is I thought it was really cool how they did mention a lot of prequel sayings that Palpatine said in Episode 3, where he said, you know, only the strongest can harness. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. When only the strongest Sith can harness that.
I was looking around. I was like, "Where's my Imperial Star Destroyer ship?" And I see my First Order one, and I'm like, "Oh, it's up there."
Oh,
because we had both in the movie.
That's true. That is true.
I was like, "Where are they?"
Back on track. I liked how they had a lot of Episode 3 quotes that were in the beginning of the movie when they were talking about how, you know, like only the most powerful Sith can embody that power to keep yourself alive. And I feel like that made sense. Like, I didn't really think of that, of Palpatine being back until I heard that quote. And then it kind of clicked to me. I was like, wait, that kind of makes sense for him to be back.
Yeah,
he is the most powerful Sith. So.
Yeah, all about creating that life, saving Darth Vader.
Yeah, so I think the way they played it off of him being back was good. I think that was the only way and the best way they could have done it. Like I said, I wanted him to be a ghost. I wanted him to be, like, just calling the shots as a ghost, but...
nah, it wouldn't have worked. You needed that physical... being.
Yeah.
I like that whole culty thing they were doing at the end. I thought that worked pretty well.
That was cool.
Felt like Sith. What did you think about the Sith troopers?
Sith troopers were good. I gotta say, this is one of the most accurate battle packs that LEGO has given us for a movie.
We're gonna be talking about like this stuff in another video, but
yeah,
it's pretty crazy how this battle pack was actually extremely accurate.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, they gave us 2 jet troopers, 1 regular, and then 1 officer. I would say there wasn't like a disproportionate amount of the 2 different types of troopers. Like, I
think 2 Sith troopers and then 1 jet trooper.
Yeah, that's the only complaint. But in terms of accuracy and printing, it's great. I did not see this.
Yeah, I mean
I don't know what that was.
Anyhow, let's get back to the film. We'll make another video discussing about the Lego stuff. But yeah, so we went into basically Poe and Finn doing that like spy runner thing.
Yeah,
the ice planet.
They were trying to get like intel from the First Order spy who was Hux, which I thought was funny.
I actually really enjoyed Hux being the spy.
And they played it off well too, because if Hux was just like, "Hey, I'm good now," I'd be like, "That's BS. What is that?" But he played it off as like,
"Dude, I hate Kylo."
He's like, "I'm not with you guys. I just don't like your enemy more than I don't like you guys." So I thought that was cool. He got blasted, which is unfortunate.
He's like, no, Kylo. I don't give a crap whether that resistance went, but a Kylo.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, like that's kind of just the testament to the first 10 minutes of the film is so fast, and you see what is a really cool space chase between the Falcon and TIE fighters, and them like what do they call it?
Hyper slipping,
skipping. What are those things?
Hyperlane skipping or hyper speed.
Whatever it was, you guys know what we're talking about. That was cool. I did really think that was
skipping.
Cool. Light speed skipping. Yeah, that was kind of cool. They get back to the planet. What do we know the name of that planet? like the rebel base.
I think they said it. I don't know what it was
I
called.
remember Jay told me. I forget what it was.
It looks like Endor or like Yavin, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but there was no battle.
Forest planet.
There was no battle there. That was just like a staging area.
Yeah, I know we're jumping around here. We're not really going through the movie quite fresh, but oh man, when Leia died, I was getting sad, and then it was Chewie's reaction where I just I was one of the people in the theater that just started bawling. I couldn't. I felt like I was in Avengers Endgame.
That was
Downey Jr.
very
again.
emotional.
Like, this is the second time this year we've had like an important character die on screen. I'm like, and then it's always the reaction, because in the movie of Avengers Endgame, sorry to compare it to this, but it's Tony's daughter who's like. Her reaction in that. Yeah,
that
movie,
really gets you.
That it's always the reaction that like just you can't hold back the tears.
There was a lot of sniffles in the theater. That was one of the most emotional deaths I've seen on.
Oh my god!
On camera,
I was dying on that with Chewie.
I was happy with the way that her character died, because she did end up saving her son, which I thought was really cool.
That was great. I
liked that.
I thought how they did Carrie or Princess Leia was fantastic. How they ended that, and that whole scene with Rey and Kylo on the Death Star damage and that whole thing. I thought that sequence is actually perfect.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't edit anything about that. Not sure. For a moment there, I was like, just let Kylo die and don't heal it.
I wasn't a fan of that Force healing, if I'm being entirely honest.
I was somewhat okay with it, as long as it was going to go somewhere more interesting, which it did.
It did.
But sorry, we kind of skipped some stuff. Let's backtrack.
Okay, so what's before the Death Star battle?
Well, they meet Janna.
They meet Janna. They meet Zori. They go to the other planet.
Yeah, they meet Zori.
I thought that was a cool sequence.
That's right.
C-3PO.
No, they went to Pasana. We missed the entire thing. Yeah. They went to Pasana.
That was a great sequence.
I liked that whole thing. That was all great. I liked and then also we learned that Rey's Palpatine. Totally skipped over that.
That's true. It's true.
But yeah. I like that whole the Jedi Hunter thing. Luke was after. We meet Lando. That was all great. I thought that was all very Star Wars. The sand pit, when they fall through that cave. Mm-hmm. And what did you think about the snake monster thing?
That was cool. I think that was a good use of Rey using that healing ability. I think that was really a really unique way to introduce
they tied that in so well.
They
did. Mandalorian,
They did.
7.
The only thing is that there's a ton of people, including myself a little bit, who are gonna be like, okay, the Jedi can do that, so why couldn't they do it in the other movies? You know what I mean? I mean, it's fair to say that, but it's also not fair. It's just one of those things that are introduced to the movie. Yeah. But the whole Pasana sequence was great. I loved how Rey almost killed Chewie, and you could see how she was so distraught over the fact that she almost killed him.
I didn't believe for a second that Chewie's dead.
I didn't think so either, because I didn't think a character like that could go out like that.
This is something upsetting on Pasana, was that whole thing between Kylo and Rey. Mm-hmm. You know, with this, they were holding this thing up in midair. The First Order transport, which I thought was hilarious. They brought it back and everything in this movie. Quite a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if we get another remake of this. But, obviously we see Rey use Force lightning, and that blows the thing up.
That was crazy.
But we never saw that Force lightning again throughout the whole movie.
Not from her.
The only other dark side thing was the kind of the cave thing on the Death Star thing with Dark Side Rey, which I can't believe everybody thought she was a clone.
She didn't know that she was Palpatine at that point, right? She found out she was a Palpatine.
No, she knew.
She knew?
She knew she was a Palpatine.
Wait, what was the scene that she found out again?
It was when she went to the Zori Bliss planet. I forget what that planet's called. I know they said it, but...
they went to Zori Bliss planet
and
after
No. Yeah. And then it was the Death Star on Endor.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay.
But anyhow... so I thought the Force lightning was crazy.
That was sick.
I was like, oh, crap. It's like, she's obviously...
Evil.
She's got evil blood. In her.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh gosh, and that was a shocker. And then I wasn't even thinking Palpatine at that second, because I couldn't grasp with the fact that Palpatine had a child.
Yeah,
and he didn't know about it, or he just ignored it.
Well, he knew about it, but.
Well, he didn't know about it immediately. It sounded like, based off like.
Well, he couldn't find her. He was trying to find her.
Kylo is explaining is that he was trying to find, like, he knew of it later, like, but somehow was hidden. Anyhow, so Pasana, I like the Jedi Hunter thing. That was all cool. This was interesting. Chewie was alive. And then we go on to Zori Bliss's planet, which I don't have that character around here, but I actually really like her character.
She was funny. She was really funny.
The actress who played her, I thought that character was great. I wish we got the face reveal at the end of But regardless, I know we got a little bit through the windshield of the helmet she was wearing.
But The comedic back and forth between her and Poe was really funny.
That was spot
That
on.
was some of the best comedic
and I was
timing
like,
I've ever seen.
why couldn't we have gotten this early? Like Last
Yeah.
Jedi needed some of that with
Yeah,
Poe.
yeah.
Like, it was just so much Poe bickering and with Holdo, and like seeing that with Zori was like such a nice change of pace.
Yeah, I agree.
And it was also, we're totally forgetting the whole team's together. We have Finn, Poe, and Rey, and boy do they work together so well. Like, it upsets me we didn't get more than just this film's worth of it.
Yeah,
because they work so well together.
Yeah, and then I think the biggest thing that happens on the Zori, we don't know the name of the planet, Zori Bliss planet, we're gonna call it, was 3PO's memory wipe.
Right.
Which I gotta say I'm really upset about because I wanted him to stay wiped. Like I wanted that whole the whole emotional sequence of him taking one last look at his friends, him giving away the location, and then all the way at the end of the movie he's back, and that pissed me off. And that's honestly one of my biggest complaints about the movie is that they couldn't let characters go. And I'll talk about, you already know what I'm probably going to talk about later, but there's a lot of characters who had times in the movies where their death or sacrifice would have been great. It would have been great for their story, it would have been great for the characters, and C-3PO is like the first example of that, where they teased everyone and said C-3PO, the character who's been in the entire saga, he's going to give up himself to give up the location and help them save the day, but then he's just back in an instant. So I was really disappointed with that.
Yeah, and then obviously R2 restored his memory later on in the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know, that whole thing was like, okay, great. It was some funniness out of it with like C-3PO like, hello.
Yeah, I got a laugh out of it. That was funny.
I don't know. It wasn't the most like necessary thing. I didn't hate it though. I really didn't. That's not my biggest problem with this movie. My biggest problem is more in the end part of the movie, which we're getting to.
Yeah. Okay. So after Zori's planet, Endor, the duel between Kylo Ren and Rey, I thought was really good.
But before we even talk about that,
okay,
both on Pasana and they were following them to Endor is the Knights of Ren, and they were very cool, and I'm glad we got to see them on screen. But boy, were they useless. They didn't do much other than capture Chewie.
I honestly didn't think they were gonna do much because they're not really important to the story, and there's only one movie left.
Yeah.
I think it would have been cool if we saw them hunting everyone throughout the entire trilogy.
Like a good scene with them, but we didn't really get that. Not even with Kylo at the end.
I thought that was a great scene. I thought that's comparative to the Praetorian Guard scene. That was cool.
No.
I thought that was sick.
It
was shorter, but
way better.
That was sick. But what's next?
So we're back to Endor.
Yeah.
Battle. Dark Side Rey. What did you think of that?
Dark Side Rey. I knew it was a vision. I knew she wasn't gonna.
I knew it was like a cave-like thing, but I was curious whether I don't know, she was a clone or something. Of Palpatine. There was a lot of rumors that she was a clone of Palpatine, but
I hated that rumor.
She's just a daughter of Palpatine, so everybody's kind of close.
Well, granddaughter.
Well, yes, excuse me, granddaughter.
But yeah, I knew Rey wasn't gonna be bad, or at least in that evil Rey double Swiss Army knife lightsaber scene. That was kind of funny, but. The duel that they had was good. I thought it didn't seem like they were dancing. It seemed like they were actually fighting, which I appreciated from like the choreography of the fight.
I was looking at people's thoughts and reviews last night before I went to bed, and a lot of people, while there's a ton of lightsaber fights in this movie, there really is. There's like 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah.
But none of them felt as gravitas or had that grandness of Duel of Fates from Episode 1 or Episode 3, Anakin versus Obi-Wan, Battle of the Heroes, and then obviously the Luke versus Vader and Empire Strikes Back. None of them have that gravitas and like weight on them.
I think that's because the only person who could wield a lightsaber ended up being good in the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, there was some good lightsaber fights, but there was just never I was never like, okay, we're seeing lightsabers, but it didn't have that emotional impact that some of the others in the other Star Wars movies.
Yeah,
obviously that whole Endor sequence ended with basically Leia dying, and we saw that whole scene. That was very sad. And I thought they did a good job. With just Leia, I'm surprised how well they were able to make the footage work, the reworked footage into the movie. You could tell it was kind of reworked. Like, you could easily tell. Like,
I think they did the best with what they had, though.
Yeah, they did well. Without having to do rely on CGI Carrie Fisher. Yeah. And so I'm happy with what they did there, and I like the death sequence. That was all great, and I just really like what they did. That Leia died to basically save her son, and I was like, that was great. That was probably one of the biggest highlights of the movie was how they did that. Actually.
Also, I love how we got to see young Carrie Fisher training as a Jedi.
Yeah.
That was cool because I know a lot of people in The Last Jedi, and that kind of seals a plot hole with The Last Jedi too, with how was she able to use the Force, and I guess you could say this is like solving it after the fact. But I loved how we saw both of them training. That was cool.
We also skipped over this on back on Zori Blitz's planet when Rey was in Kylo's chambers and all of that, looking for the knife.
The knife.
They were having a lightsaber fight through their
that
communication
was cool.
thing. And they were able to take things
I'd
out of
I'd
each
say
other.
that was the most. If there was some grand battle, like that had emotion with the lightsaber battle, I think that was probably the closest.
That was cooler, yeah.
I think that was the closest, yeah.
But yeah, the whole Kylo and Rey thing, back on Endor. Sorry to jump around. But that's how the movie was.
Yeah,
You were just jumping around so much.
I mean, we're staying kind of on track.
Yeah.
We're staying generally.
But that was great. I liked that. Whole thing was great. I liked Jannah in the First Order troops.
I wish we saw more of her. She was cool.
She was cool. I'm glad they didn't, like, the horses that she rode. I was really worried from the trailers that those horses would be, they reminded me so much of the Canto Bite.
It wasn't overdone. It was just enough.
Very, very,
and it made
mellow.
sense. The way that they integrated it, it made sense because they could have jammed the speeders, but they used non-electronic ways. So that made sense. I like that. So after Endor, after the battle,
wanted speeders though, to be honest.
That would have been cool. But I like how they integrated the horses. So we have, and after Endor, Rey gets in the Kylo ship, goes back to Ahch-To.
Yes.
And Ben just kind of goes off camera for a little bit.
Yeah. And then we see Ben just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, we're skipping over the Han Solo.
Oh, I mean, I mean, it's Han Solo and Leia brought him back, which I was happy about. That was a vision. That wasn't him being a Force ghost.
I was crying basically up until the Han Solo thing because of all the Carrie Fisher stuff that happened. But I thought the way they did a whole sequence and they made it very clear. This is a memory, not a Force ghost.
Yeah, it wasn't him being a Force ghost. I was cool with that.
And I was very happy with that. I was like, okay, I can totally get behind that.
Yeah.
And it was great. I like I like how they recreated the sequence from Force Awakens of like what should have happened.
Yes, yeah.
And I was like, yes.
That was good.
This is great. That whole thing was great. Congrats, JJ. That was great.
That was a nice scene. For the way that he did have to Ben had to become good. I think that was the best way for them to bring him back.
Yeah.
Although I ultimately,
absolutely,
I told this before. I would have liked to see Ben stay bad. But with the way they did it, I was very content with how they did it.
Yeah.
So Rey goes back to Ahch-To. She burns the Kylo Ren's TIE Striker or TIE Fighter, whatever it is.
I have the set over there, but it's not the accurate
version.
version.
It's like the newer one.
I was going to put that here. Sorry.
But then she goes full like Luke mode. She doesn't want to go anywhere. She feels like she's failed. She wants to stay back. Force Ghost Luke comes out.
That she's going to be on this throne.
Yeah, Force Luke comes out of the X-Wing when she tries to throw the lightsaber in there. I gotta say the coolest part of that for me, I was disappointed that Luke didn't hop in the X-Wing in The Last Jedi and come to Crate. I was happy that Rey used Red 5 to go to Exegol.
Also, I thought it was so fan servicey for a second that like Luke got his moment of pulling the X-Wing out of the water just like Yoda did in Empire Strikes Back.
I mean, that was coming though.
I know, but I was like, it would have been so much better if he had done that in person in The Last Jedi.
I agree. That's what I wanted to do. That I wanted him to be there physically in The Last Jedi and then sort of die like Obi-Wan did, where he was physically there, but then he died like that. But, can't change the past. The Last Jedi has its problems. There you go. I was happy with how they did it. I feel like Rey kind of wanting to go into exile was just kind of out of nowhere, though. That was, like, really dramatic, I thought.
Yeah.
It's such a... we see Yoda go into exile at the end of Episode 3, really for no reason, if I'm being honest. He still can do a lot of stuff, clearly, as he almost beat the Emperor. But he still has Obi-Wan. He still has a whole bunch of other Jedi. And he's like, go into exile, I must. So that was weird.
Qui-Gon there was
Luke going into exile kind of gave up, and then Rey. I don't like the fact that they kind of just go to exile whenever they fail. But... she wasn't in exile. She got back.
That's a very human thing. That once you fail, you always feel like you should. Like it's almost saying that someone gets depressed, and that's very true in the real world. I thought that was fine. I really did.
Well, anyway, she wasn't. She wasn't in exile.
It's a very human thing, is all I'm saying.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah,
but she wasn't in exile. Luke smacked her. Said, get your ass up.
She got in the X-wing, took the Sith thing that was in Kylo's
so
thing.
she goes to Exegol.
I love that. I actually really like that planet name. That's very Exegol.
It's a very dark. It's a very dark name.
Yeah, I like it. It's like Exodus.
Yeah,
it's very similar to that.
So she arrives on Exegol. She goes
the
into the temple thing.
Resistance gets the tracking.
Yes.
Oh hey, there's this X-wing on the radar. Oh shoot, she's going to Exegol. We can follow her.
Yeah.
And then we can lead. And so then they get in the Falcon.
Yeah.
Chewie and Lando lead. Go around the galaxy. We all know that ends of the movie. And then we're back at Exegol. Rey is approaching that giant temple thing.
She confronts Palpatine, which was that whole entire sequence of Rey, like when Rey gets there, and then obviously when Ben gets there later. I think that entire sequence was great. I thought that was really cool. So she sees Palpatine. She sees that he's actually back.
GLaDOS from Portal.
Very Portal-esque vibes from that.
From Palpatine hanging up on that arm. It was like so Portal.
Yeah, but then we see like the whole like, is it a Sith following that was under?
It was like I don't know if those were real people or not. Like they didn't show any faces of what they are. But it did look like it. It did look like they were real Sith followers.
It was somebody.
It was a cult.
It was
so culty, and I totally believed it because that was kind of.
That's a Sith.
Sith is very culty. But so is the Jedi in a way. You could argue both sides actually.
I wouldn't say
that's
cult.
Another
discussion. That's a whole another discussion. But yeah, so she gets there. I like how she's confronted with becoming evil. I think that we all expected her to have that trial where she has to decide if she's gonna stay good or bad. I like how they call back to episode 6 when he opens up the roof and Rey sees the Resistance getting obliterated.
Well, it was totally a callback. It was fan servicey. I was like, oh, they're.
It was no more fan service in The Force Awakens when there were a whole bunch of callbacks.
Yeah.
So,
wait, we're also forgetting for a second that they blow up Zori Bliss's planet with that one Final Order ship.
Oh yeah, what did you think of that mini Death Star tech on a Star Destroyer?
Oh, it's like, come on.
I was like, no.
Third time around, we had a planet sucking sun. We had the 2 Death Stars, and now we got it on the one ship.
That was a bit much.
I was like, come on now.
That was a bit much.
Come on now.
But I was like, whatever.
In a way, I believed it because there is quite an evolution of things.
I mean, yeah.
But can we just take a second here? We're going to talk about the Final Order now.
Mm-hmm.
Where did all these people come from?
That's the biggest question everybody has.
Obviously, there was a lot of things that had to build all those ships, and then apparently all those ships were populated with full-on troops. All these Sith troopers. Yeah. And then you have the one First Order ship come in with what's his name? General Pride or something?
General Pride, one of those things.
He comes in, he's going to be the leader of this entire force, and then you made a good point that when the general was looking at Palpatine, his eyes went gray.
Yeah, so there was a scene. This was after General Hux dies and Kylo Ren's sort of not there. So General Pride sort of takes over. He gets in contact with Palpatine, and there's a scene where he's talking to Palpatine, and then as Palpatine's giving him orders, you could see General Pride's eyes sort of get gray and cloudy like Palpatine. So then that begs the question to me is, okay, there's this massive fleet of Star Destroyers. It's the biggest fleet anyone's ever seen, apparently, as they worded. So how did all these people survive for so long? I would say either A, they're sort of like the zombie people, which I don't think they are, but that's an explanation. But how, they need, if they're normal human beings, which most of them were in the Final Order, how do they survive for long? How do they eat? I don't know.
When they revealed Palpatine in the beginning, they made it very clear that Snoke was a clone being created by Palpatine, and you could see all the Sith followers around all those tubes and weird, stuff. And they could have easily just been I've been cloning an entire new empire.
Which might have been what
that would have been
doing.
Such a great explanation.
Yeah, but now we have no idea where these ships came from.
Basically, we skipped over this also at the beginning of the movie. You have that whole table of the First Order officers, we're gaining ground throughout the galaxy, blah blah blah, and then they're debating, should we join this Final Order that Palpatine has created, blah blah blah. But we didn't see that again at the end of the movie, and I was like, I would have liked to get some more clarification on that, because the reason why I bring that up is at the end of the movie, once everybody wins and stuff, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. You see all these First Order ships around the galaxy over Endor, and you see it over Bespin, all these planets, and they're First Order ships. And I'm just so did General get to get them all together, so the entire First Order was part of the Final Order now.
I guess just final. I guess.
And how did all those First Order ships blow up? Was it the?
I think it was just
fleet?
them rising up.
Was it the whole Resistance fleet that just went out and all the people went out and destroyed all those ships immediately after?
I don't know.
I need some clarification.
I don't know what that was either.
That's such a minor thing.
That is minor. We're blowing it out of proportion a little bit, but
that's the things I look into.
Let's talk about the first wave of the Resistance fleet with the Tandem and the very
without
small
all the
one, without the extras.
Ships. Yeah.
First of all, I don't know how you feel about this, but I'm livid that we saw the big fleet in the trailers.
Yeah.
Because the entire sequence of the first wave up until the second wave of the Resistance fleet, there is no gravity towards that battle at all. You see, you don't see Poe die, but you see the other guy die, who was not really important,
Snap.
but Snap died. You saw them getting torn apart, and there was just no meaning behind that first wave, which is where my problem was, because I was like, all right, well, we saw a giant wave with the Falcon in the trailer. Falcon isn't here, so obviously there's going to be another fleet coming. So I didn't care about anything that happened because I knew there was help coming. So I was pissed off about that.
Yeah.
I don't know how you felt about that.
I totally forgot about that scene from the trailer. So
You're lucky.
When I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. This whole thing. I was like, cool.
Mm-hmm.
First off, I just want to quickly say that the Sith TIE Fighter, or whatever it's called, TIE Dagger, my God, we didn't even see it close up at all.
It was like 70 miles away, dude.
Yeah, you only saw it like at the distance. I'm like, good God, Lego, you charging $80 for a ship that barely made it.
That was horrible.
Just had to quickly say that.
Honestly, same thing with this too. This was in for like 3 seconds.
Actually, no, the Y-wing had a bigger presence because Zori was on.
Oh yeah, true. Fair enough.
No.
This was okay.
This was pretty good. The A-wing
it's just the
and Falcon, obviously, that was important.
Yeah.
But again, another video. We'll talk about the Lego sets. I like the final space battle. It wasn't great. It doesn't compare to the Return of the Jedi or the beginning space battle of Episode 3.
It
wasn't my favorite, honestly. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't
long enough, it felt.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we found that radar dish. Crush it. Oh, wait, no, it's on that ship.
Yeah,
okay, everybody, ship.
Yeah.
The coolest part of the space battle was actually when these First Order ships landed on the side of the thing with the Rebel drop ship. That what do they call Rebel Lander? What did they call that?
It's just a dropship for the Resistance, but
and that happened, and then we saw the Sith troopers, and then the horses, and all the Resistance troops came out of it. I was like, yes.
If there's a mock, there's no land battle or significant land battle, so if there is a mock that anyone will make from Episode 9 in terms of a land battle,
that destroyer. It's like
it's a giant slanted destroyer, and then having like a whole bunch of these and a whole bunch of the Resistance pods like a drop in there.
I might do it. I'm just kidding. I don't know whether I'd do that or not.
I don't think it's.
I'd like to do it, but I don't know.
Maybe like on this scale, maybe like this size table, maybe not like too big. But I thought it was a really cool scene. Despite I knew the Rebel fleet was coming, I thought when they dropped out of hyperspace and you see just a swarm of all the galaxy ships coming, that was really cool. I was of course like, yo, where the hell were these guys during Crate? But that's okay. But that was a cool sequence. I thought when they all jumped out, it was very like it touched you in the feels. Like you were excited. You were like, someone's finally coming to help them.
Because all of those planets are gonna blow up anyways from the starships.
Exactly.
Like, hey, if you don't fight, all these like 100, 200, I don't know how many was in that fleet, 1,000 Imperial ships with Death Star tech on every single one of them. They will go to every single planet. If you make one wrong move, your entire planet dies.
So they didn't really have a choice, but that was a cool sequence. I was looking forward to having like the best space battle, but I still think the best space battle sequence was in Scarif from Rogue One. In terms of like technology and like graphics and stuff, I think that was the best one. I was really hoping that we get something better than that.
Rogue One can't compare with that ending sequence.
Not to say that the Rise of Skywalker one was bad. It just wasn't. It wasn't Rogue One, but I was okay with that. Okay, so the space battle, despite the entire fleet gets here, they start taking out Star Destroyers. Palpatine, after his conflicts with Kylo Ren and Rey, he takes their life form and then shoots like this super nuke lightning up into the sky, obliterates half the fleet, I would say, or like shuts their power down.
Kylo also shows up during this.
Yeah.
Well, we're skipping over how like he like took that power from Rey and Kylo when Kylo shows up.
Yeah, he like took their life forms.
We totally skipped over the fact that Rey was literally about to give her life up to join Palpatine's ghost or whatever. What did you think about that?
I thought that I kind of knew she wasn't gonna be bad. I just didn't think that was like her character. So I thought that just stalling a little bit, if that made sense. And then
Yeah.
when Ben was in the temple, it's a temple, I guess, right, or whatever
Yeah,
structure building it is. And then when they
It's very much a temple.
yeah, when they
It's a
did
cult.
that Force Mind Link thing, and then he got the lightsaber. That was cool. I think his battle, it was really just a slaughter of the Knights of Ren. But I thought that was cool.
It was okay.
And then Rey getting a lightsaber, fighting off of the guards. Oh, I hope we get those new Sith guards too from Palpatine
Yeah, those were
in a battle
very
pack. Those are cool.
Not a battle pack, but it's just any other
Or a set, whatever minifigure.
Yeah, it was very. I couldn't tell whether they were royal guards or what they were.
I
But
don't know. Another video.
Very
You'll see it in
small
another
thing.
video.
We're nitpicking here.
And then, but yeah, so somehow Ben and Rey both end up in front of him. They're like about to take him, but then Palpatine sucks their life force like a freaking Dementor from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And then he uses their power, shoots up like atom bomb lightning up into the sky. It like, I gotta say, from a visual standpoint, when you see like the lightning shoot up and then it spreads out like a tree, that was sick.
That was awesome. And then you see Rey looking past all of that destruction into space, and then you hear all of those Jedi, including Mace Windu.
Yeah, we had Mace Windu.
I heard Mace and I was like, ah!
Obi-Wan, Yoda, Luke. We had Anakin Skywalker. I would have loved to hear Leia. I don't think I heard Leia in there though.
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Obi-Wan was in there. Both Obi-Wans. Ian McGregor, and then also
and the older one.
What was his?
I forget his name, but he's really famous.
It's Alex Guinness.
Yeah, Alex Guinness. Sorry, guys. That was cool. I like the idea. At least I interpreted that as all the Jedi before her were giving their remaining energy to her to get up.
They say like,
fight.
Rey, we're part of you.
Yeah, exactly. So she like embodies the rest of the Jedi.
And then this is where I have a little bit of an issue. Part one issue is basically, oh, you have all this power, and then she like takes her lightsaber, and then Palpatine throws it at her.
Yeah,
all that lightning, and then apparently like all that power is a second lightsaber that's Luke's that she gets from Kylo from in that cavern that he fell in, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, wait a second. Like, couldn't she do something else that we haven't seen before? Like, ooh, just like kind of like push it or something with the Force. Anything besides a second lightsaber.
I would have liked to see her just like use her hands, honestly.
But at the same time, I also understand that the lightsaber thing made sense because when she took that lightsaber, she was deflecting it back at Palpatine. Yeah. It was such a throwback to Episode 3. And I was like, this is great. I'm glad they're like going back to Episode 3.
Yeah.
Because that's how Mace was originally going to kill Palpatine. He was throwing that lightning back at Palpatine. That's how he was de-aging and he was dying. And I thought that was such a great callback to Episode 3 of like, oh, this is how he really dies. And then you see all that skin rip off.
That was great.
I was like, that was satisfying.
That was cool.
I know my girlfriend Meredith was absolutely thrilled with that.
Yeah, she's a doctor, or like sort of like
she's
that
into
stuff.
like all that stuff of like seeing bones and muscle, and so she was just like she had basically a heart attack.
That was her favorite part of the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was cool. Okay, so Palpatine's dead.
Palpatine dies, and then we see
Ben comes out of the cavern.
Whoa! Rey dies.
That's true. Rey dies.
Rey dies.
I thought she died. I was ready for her to die. I
saw her die, and I was like, this is not going to happen. No, this is not how it happens. She's not going to die.
I wanted her to die so bad. Because, hear me out here, Star Wars fans. When was the last time in any movies where a main character sacrificed themselves to save everybody else? Except Obi-Wan in Episode 4. Han Solo died, but he didn't really sacrifice himself. Right? He died on a bridge trying to connect to his son. It was a good death, but it wasn't what I was expecting. Rey was a perfect character to die while she was literally saving everybody.
I agree.
And I was ready for her to die. I was ready for Star Wars to finally... I was ready for Star Wars to finally give us... Exactly. So Rey dies. That would have been great. She sacrificed everybody. She finally harnessed her power and saved the entire freaking universe. And then Ben Solo's alive, which I'm fine with, and he's a Skywalker. The Rise of Skywalker. He's good now. But that's not how it turns out.
In a way, if you look at it like they're always constantly reminding you in Star Wars that there has to be a balance. And so it makes sense for the Skywalker bloodline to end with Ben. And that even though Rey is technically a Palpatine, it's Palpatine's blood going through her. The balance is the fact that she should have been bad because of her family history. But she wasn't, and she becomes the new... Like, there's a balance that Skywalker's and Palpatine's
they're kind of
granddaughter rises up, but not as a Sith, but as a Jedi, or I didn't even
As
do
a
it
neutral.
as a Jedi, a neutral,
Neutral.
or a Jedi,
A gender neutral
with that
Jedi.
yellow lightsaber at the end. Again, we're skipping over. Sorry, but yeah. So Kylo comes out of the hole. Rey's dead. I need to talk about this.
He heals her. Let's first talk about that. He heals her.
Whoa, before that even happens, he like picks up Rey and he's like doing some weird stuff, like she's a rag doll for a second, like moving around, like what's going on?
I didn't think that was weird. He was just trying to hold the dead body.
Why couldn't he just pick her up and hug her? That's all that needs to happen there.
Well, I'm okay with.
But he was like holding her in a weird way.
Yeah, and then him healing her, I was like, no, just like keep her dead.
And then I thought for a second there, I was like, okay, all right, so we're gonna have both. Okay,
yeah,
both.
I was like, all right, whatever. That's kind of what I was
and
expecting.
And then, oh no, it's a life force for a life force. So then Kylo dies, and I'm like, okay. But before that even happens, I'm already pissed off because before he dies, we get that stupid kiss. They were looking at each other, and I was thinking, no, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't, please, for the love of God, don't kiss. And then they kiss, and I've been reading online. Some people's theaters, everybody started clapping, or everybody started cheering. No, our theater was on board
like,
with me, and we are all gross. Everybody in the theater was like, ew, what the hell?
I got it. I did not like that. I definitely got some weird feelings.
I did not want that kiss.
I mean, the only connection they had was that they were both fighting bad people, I guess. But like, there's so much of a more connection between Rey and Finn.
Oh, God.
Because you could see
that would have been way better.
And then earlier, you pointed this out, which I totally forgot. But earlier in the film, when they're in the pit, Finn goes, "Rey, I want to tell you something that I haven't been able to tell you," and then he just goes down below.
So it's two
which
theories
obviously he's gonna. Well, at least I would think he would say like "I love you" or something like that.
That or "Hey Rey, I think I'm a Jedi."
Yeah, either that. I don't think he's force sensitive.
No, he's totally force sensitive.
Okay.
I love Finn.
But anyways, the kiss is warranted for Rey and Finn. However, I will say this: I don't think anybody needs a kiss. I didn't care about that. I would have liked for Kylo and Rey to just hug it out, be like, "Yo, we're safe, thank you." Yeah. And then when Rey gets back, everyone hugs. That's okay.
That's all I wanted. Is if you weren't gonna have both of them live, and Kylo was gonna go, like, just give me a hug. That's all you need. Yeah. You don't need to do that stupid kiss.
I would say that
it was already hard accepting. It was already hard accepting Kylo Ren becoming Ben Solo. Yeah. Because of that, killing Han Solo. I was accepted at that point. It was a hard acceptance, but I was willing to accept it. But then that kiss happened, and I was like, no. I really want to throw one.
I will say, however, like, okay, so this is the same thing with The Last Jedi. I think the majority of people who don't like it were tolerating it up until the Rose and Finn kiss, and that just set everyone off. And I really don't want to see that happen with this movie because we're saying a lot of iffy things about the movie, but overall it's still a pretty good movie.
No, overall it's pretty good.
So
the kiss thing really pissed me off. It took me out of the movie.
It's very small. So even though the kiss was, in my opinion, unwarranted, and let's be honest, there's thousands of fans who love that scene, who really want it to happen. And so you guys, I'm happy for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, I know there's some, what is it, Raylo or something.
Raylo, yeah. Which
Raylo fans.
I didn't care about. It's not freaking Twilight or any other saga where we need there to be a couple.
Yeah, it's a kiss, whatever. Let's move on.
Fine. Let's move. It's very minuscule.
I can at least ignore it or skip it or whatever.
That didn't detract from my experience. But then Ben died, which I was like, all right, Rey's alive. Like, if both of them were alive at the end, I would have been pissed. So I wanted one to die. If Rey was going to be alive, Ben had to die. I was okay with that.
And then the First Order transport, basically Finn and Janna blow it up with that cannon. Mm-hmm. And then Lando and Chewie
saves them. That was cool.
That was good. And then basically we go into the end sequence with, again, I was talking about a little earlier with all the First Order ships around the galaxy being blown up, I guess, by the Resistance ships.
Yeah, whatever it is.
And everybody's winning. We see the Ewoks for a quick second.
That was cool.
Seeing Bespin on screen again.
That was cool.
Nice, some original trilogy callbacks.
Yeah.
We only saw Coruscant very quickly, I believe, in the very beginning with the slip jumping. There was one of the planets they jumped through was Coruscant, I believe.
I don't think that was Coruscant because it was like white and cloudy. That's not Coruscant though. Coruscant's usually like
could have been Coruscant.
I don't know.
Anyhow, so I only see some original trilogy things, blah blah, and then we see everybody back on the same planet, the staging planet, the forest planet.
Yeah.
All the rebels, the main rebel force, I guess, and everybody's like, yeah, happy. We get those hugs.
Yep.
We get that funny thing between Poe and
Zori. That was
I
hilarious.
really like Poe and
That
Zori.
was so funny.
I shipped that so hard.
Yeah,
that was great.
that was
I
funny.
love that.
That was funny.
That was Star Wars. It was funny. Poe did a great job.
Yeah.
And then Finn was, of course, looking for Rey.
Mm-hmm. And then they all group hugged, which
And
I was
the group
fine
hug
with.
was great.
There was a lot of emotion in that group hug. You saw Finn crying.
Yeah.
Because he was so relieved, and I feel bad for Finn.
Yeah, and I was like, I know he wants that kiss, or he wants to like tell Rey, hey, I'm like,
yeah,
I have these force.
But I'm
powers.
okay with that. That doesn't really matter to me, anyways.
And then we also should we talk about the lesbian kiss, if you will?
Yeah, I mean,
because I know it was like first off, I'm fine with it.
Fine.
You're fine with it.
I don't care.
I know that I think I saw people having an issue with it, the fact that it was cut out in the Middle Eastern.
Yeah, so in the middle, at least from what I saw it on Facebook, I saw that that lesbian kiss was cut out in whatever Middle East showings, which I don't agree with. But
honestly, I'm fine. The characters were very minor. Like one of the characters was in The Last Jedi.
Yeah,
and I was like, okay, that's fine.
And it was on screen for like 2 seconds, so I was like, all right, that's fine. Everyone's happy. I could care less about who's with who at this point.
Yeah.
But this is also the part when
that was more warranted than the kiss from Kylo and Rey.
Yeah. And then this is also the part where C-3PO gets his mind reset, which I...
No, that was earlier.
No, I thought it was at the end.
Was it at the very end?
I thought so.
I don't think so. It was when Rey and Kylo came back to the planet. It was... I'm sorry, no. It was Poe and Finn that came back to the staging planet, and they found out that Leia died, and then R2...
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay. Yeah, you're right.
I was a little Dio. We didn't even talk about Dio. He was at a very minor.
Yeah, he was very.
The only thing he helped with was like, oh hey, this is like the Sith. This is like their information. Like, that's about it.
He was a cool character. Nothing too crazy.
It's okay.
But everyone's happy. They won, and then Rey goes back to Tatooine.
Yes.
She takes Luke and Leia's lightsaber, which I'm really happy that we saw. And buries it there. Luke's home. You can see the home's really run down. No one's been there for a while, and it's kind of crazy to think that nearly every major character has been at that one spot. Yeah. And there's not many places you could say about that in Star Wars where all the characters have been there. So if you think about it,
Tatooine.
At Luke's home, you've had Anakin, you've had Obi-Wan, you've had Padme's a really important character. Then in the OT, you've had Luke Skywalker, obviously, an older Obi-Wan. Now you have Rey being there. So I thought that was cool. It kind of came full circle. She buried the lightsabers there, which I was okay with. I think for me that symbolized like the Skywalker saga is done. That was really cool to me. That was kind of just...
This is the other thing. So this is my other gripe with this film. Is that lady on that weird, I don't know, animal thing. It's like, wow, there hasn't been anybody here so long.
Who are you? I got Solo vibes from that.
I'm Rey. Rey who? And then she thinks about it, and then you see Luke and Leia's like Force Ghost come out of there. And she says Rey Skywalker, and I'm like, I guess
that was my exact reaction. I was like, well,
because it's been Solo's life now in Rey. So if you look at it that way, she's technically the Skywalker life lives on in Rey, not just Palpatine. So I guess you can make that argument, but it would have been better if like Rey just came up with a new name or something. A new name that like combines.
I would have been okay with her not even answering.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Or just like, who are you, and then just a smile.
Just Rey. No,
it doesn't even reply. Just a smile, and you just.
That would have been.
And then you basically come up with the answer.
I was okay with that logic. I mean, in terms of like biology, she's not a Skywalker, really.
No,
but in terms of the Force essence, she is, and I'm okay with that. It's Star Wars, like, okay, that's fine. But then you get that really cool shot of her standing like Luke did in Episode 4, 2 moons, which I thought was beautiful. And I think that's how the movie ends, right?
That's how it ends. And I'm sorry this has taken like 45 minutes to get to this.
I told you guys in like a podcast, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Let us know down below in the comments what you think. Overall, good movie. I really enjoyed it.
Now we have gone through the movie for the last 50 minutes.
Let's talk about, for like 5 minutes, let's talk about good things we liked about the movie. Because we talked a lot about controversial things. Good things. I liked how most of the characters ended, their arcs ended. I thought it was a great way to end the saga. Action sequences were very good, I would say, even though there was no like meaning to a lot of the battles.
Good things for me were I liked all of the story elements for the most part. they could have done a little bit more explanation on Palpatine, but I liked it.
Yeah.
I did actually like how Palpatine came back. That kind of needed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people are like they wish it didn't do it at all,
Mm-hmm.
and that it was Snoke, and that Last Jedi should have kept Snoke, and he should have been. I liked how Palpatine was, and you saw a whole new element of Sith.
That was cool.
That was really
that might be
cool.
my favorite
I
sequence.
think that was
the Exegol sequence.
it was acceptable new Star Wars canon. It made sense in the Star Wars lore and universe. I was like, happy about that. I think my favorite part of this entire movie was literally just seeing the team, Rey, Finn,
doing stuff together,
and Poe all together having fun on an adventure. I think that was like the best part of this movie.
Yeah, I think the best part for me was the entire Exegol sequence at the end, because that was just awesome to see. Like all those Sith followers and all that crazy stuff. I will say, like, the specific scene that stands out as corny and as expected as it was when the entire Rebel fleet jumped out of hyperspace. That was really cool in my opinion.
That's cool. I like you said, I do kind of wish we didn't see that in the trailer.
We saw way too much
had
of trailers.
a lot more weight on it. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
The whole theater would have been.
Yeah, but overall, the movie was captivating the entire time. There was no lulls really. There was no I'm falling asleep in the half of the movie, but I'm only interested in the latter half and the first half. Like, it was good. It was I wasn't bored.
I was never bored for a second.
Yeah, and that's what I appreciate about this movie.
I'm upset by the Kylo Rey kiss. That shouldn't have happened.
But again, very minuscule.
I'm very indecisive about Rey being the Skywalker at the end. I kind of wish it was Rey and Kylo at the end, or just Kylo. I don't know how I feel about just Rey and then just Rey being a Skywalker. That's some of the issues. And then also, like, C-3PO, I thought he was going to die. He didn't. And then his memory thing, it just felt wasted a little bit there. Yeah. It was just funny, but that was a little...
Yeah. But, I mean, we're going to see the movies again, of course. We're kind of, like, on a high after seeing the last Star Wars movie. So we're going to see it. We're going to definitely be more analytical.
It's the last Skywalker Star Wars
Exactly,
movie.
yes.
This ends the saga. And you know what? I told Matt coming out of the theater, I know a lot of people are sad about this ending. I'm very happy that it's done. We can move on. Because if anything, we have learned that The Mandalorian show and Rogue One and all these things, you can totally move on past the main Skywalker story, and there's tons more to go and explore in the Star Wars universe.
Very right.
So I am A-okay with this ending. I'm ready to just great, we're done here. Let's move on with Star Wars. There's so much other things we can go on to.
I'm ready for a new era.
Go in the past or go in the future.
It's gonna be exciting. I can't wait. I really do hope that Filoni and what's his face?
Jon Favreau?
Yeah, I really hope they do a trilogy. I think
that would be cool, but I think they do good with TV.
They've done great. Well, that's the reason they've done great with TV, so I hope that they do a trilogy.
Filoni's the same guy who made the Clone Wars show, and I still love it.
I would have liked the Game of Thrones guys to make a trilogy about Old Republic, but
that's
for another... I know. That would have been great. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching today's video. Thanks for David for joining us. I know today's video was longer, but hopefully you guys got some insight. Like I said before, let us know in the comments what you think of it. I think overall the fandom is pretty satisfied with it. The critics not so much, but...
There was definitely people that has issues with the movie, but overall, it's not a Last Jedi response, it seems like, which is good.
Yeah.
The critics didn't like it. The fans did.
Most of the fans did.
Majority liked it. Yeah. And I actually got a text from my uncle. He hated The Last Jedi. He thought it ruined the entire Star Wars thing. I got a text from him right now. He said I loved it.
Yeah.
He's one of those people that just absolutely hated Last Jedi.
Yeah, when it comes down to it, The Rise of Skywalker was it was Star Wars. That's what it was.
It wasn't the perfect Star Wars movie. It wasn't a George Lucas Star Wars movie at all. Didn't have that same pace. But overall, it needed to do what it got. It got done what it had to get done. Yeah. In a very short amount of time. Yeah. It felt like 2 Star Wars episodes pushed into 1. That's what my friend Jack said. He said it was like 2 movies pushed into 1. But yeah, you can't change your circumstances. So JJ, I'm sure did the best he could. I'm very happy with the movie. They could have done like a Harry Potter or Part 1 and Part 2. They could have done Part 1. Part 1 would have ended with Kylo. That whole thing with Han Solo and Leia. That could have been the ending of Part 1. And then Part 2 is like picking up from there. I don't know if I could have waited another 2 years for the end of Part 2. It would have been 1 year. You know, they usually shoot those in one movie. Oh, okay. As one thing, and it's like so you get one now, one next year. I think that would actually been. They could have totally gotten away with it. Yeah, I wouldn't care, but it doesn't make sense for Star Wars. But if this was any other franchise, I bet they would have done that. That would have been too. I bet they would have done it. Yeah, that's true. But thank you guys so much for watching. Of course, drop a like down below. Subscribe if you guys are new. We got some more videos coming up very soon, so make sure you stay tuned, and we'll see y'all later. Take it easy. Bye, guys. Peace. That was long. Dude. Holy. Dude, this is 55 minutes.